Edmonton's first pick, number 5. Commissioner?
With the 5th pick in the 2021 CFL Draft, the Edmonton football team selects Cole Nelson, defensive tackle, Alberta. Ottawa, you are on the clock.
Interesting. So the choice of Cole Nelson that is not in the final ranking in the top 20. Are you surprised by this selection?
I'm a little bit surprised by Cole Nelson going this early in the draft, simply because he's a relatively raw player. But what this speaks to is simply supply and demand. We've talked a lot about the fact that they're really, in terms of immediate help, the only defensive lineman you would talk about as a guy who's ready to play in this draft, the only interior guy, would be Mohamed Diallo. But he's a guy who's looking at another year of NCAA football, so not going to be in camp this year. Cole Nelson, a local guy being from University of Alberta, coached by Chris Morris, 6'6", over 300 pounds, runs his 40-yard dash in sub 5 seconds. And this is a kid who's worked very, very hard. He came to the University of Alberta. Chris Morris told me when this kid got there, he couldn't bench press 225 pounds once. Well, now he's up over 20 reps, really starting to come along as a player. It's going to take some time for him to develop, but definitely when you look at what the physical tools are, this is a guy who could be well worth the investment.
And Brock Sunderland concurs. He tells me
like
huge. Just wanted to echo that. Brock Sunderland tells me basically the same thing, that he's got huge size, tremendous athleticism, and that there's only so many people on the planet that can move like that and are that athletic at that size. So, again, as Dwayne mentioned, minimal experience. There were some around the league who suggested he could potentially be a guy that eventually converts into an offensive tackle because he's got those kind of movement skills. But for the Eskimos, with those two defensive edge players, you can give yourself a bit of a rotation if you can fast-track him. Now, again, he's going to be in camp right away, but will he be ready to contribute right away? That's anybody's guess, but they wanted to get their hands on him sooner than later.
Exactly what I was thinking, Farhan. You beat me to it. I'm seeing you got Botan, you got Betts. Now all of a sudden you can look at this as a rotational play. Maybe slide one of those guys, Botan or Betts, in passing situations, slide them down into a tackle spot and get some speed in your interior rush and still have the other guy outside. I think this is a situational play as well. If you're looking at we're looking at a thin defensive line draft. This is probably the thinking in Edmonton is a situational play, at least in the first year.